Speedrunning. This is a category that I don't think enough people are playing in Megabonk. Now look, I get it. Getting high kill runs is extremely satisfying, and with an in-game leaderboard for high kills, it has become quite competitive to go for high kill runs. But let's be honest, in the current patch, attempting to get a leaderboard run is just not fun, because you just have to run around in circles and outrun the final swarm for, well, basically 10 hours to have a chance to get on the leaderboard. But the one competitive aspect of Megabonk that, in my opinion, is still really fun in this patch is speedrunning. So today, I'm going to break down the strategy that allows the top speedrunners to win the entire game in less than 12 minutes. And hopefully by the end of this video, I will have inspired some of you to go and try to speedrun Megabonk yourself. In speedrunning, the monkey is the meta. This is simply because of his passive ability to get around quickly and climb surfaces. On the first map, your goal is simply to collect all of the shrines as fast as you can. Ideally, you want to explore the whole map and interact with pretty much anything green or teal that you can see on the map. Now, of course, you don't have to interact with all of the magnets, but usually if I happen to walk by them, I will just press them so I don't think I've forgotten an item from a statue or something when I look at the map later. But everything besides that you should preferably have interacted with. This includes boss shrines, by the way, because having more bosses on the first map should actually be pretty easy to deal with when using the build that I'm about to explain. The one thing you don't want to touch are the greed shrines. For the speedrun, there is simply no reason to increase your difficulty. Now, the main shrine rewards you're looking for are extra jumps and projectile counts. Thorns can also be quite good though, and some other stats that are alright are things like evasion, more max HP, armor, or attack speed. Now, extra jumps are nice, especially early, because it allows you to travel through the maps so much quicker. I would say that if you have 3 extra jumps, you're probably fine, but you could also go up to 5. More than that is slightly overkill, I would say. Now, the reason that projectile count is so good is because of the core combo, which consists of Kevin and the cactus. With more projectile count, Kevin will deal more damage to you more often, which in turn will trigger the cactus more often. The way the cactus work is that every time you take damage, it shoots out spikes. As you can see here, when you have a few of these and a Kevin, you can actually deal a lot of damage. And since the cactus is a green item, it's really not that hard to get a lot of them. The cactus's damage also scales with thorns, and this scaling is actually pretty significant. So getting thorns is a key part of the speedrunning strategy. While you can get some from the shrines, the main way to get thorns should be from the spiky shield. Spiky shield gives you more thorns the more armor you have. Because of this fact, one of the 2 tomes the speedrunners are using is the armor tome. This both increases your survivability and allows you to get a lot of thorns from the spiky shield item. The other tome they are running is the bloody tome. This makes sense because, well, Kevin is constantly trying to kill you, but also when you're fighting bosses, you do want to run into them as much as you can to deal max possible damage with the thorns. Now, for the speedrun, we do only have 2 weapons and 2 tomes enabled. This is because we don't really have time to scale more tomes, and for the weapons, well, they really aren't that important at all. We basically just want to upgrade our tomes in the run. We can upgrade our weapons once or twice if we're either forced or have the option to get some more projectile count, but in general, we really want to spend most of our levels trying to upgrade the tomes. As for the weapons, of course we are forced to use the banana, but for the second weapon, there doesn't yet seem to be a strong consensus about what the best weapon is. The current world record holder used the bone, but the second best runner used ages, and the guy with the 3rd fastest time has used the executioner. And I myself have a theory that maybe the black hole could be one of the better weapons. That being said, even though the black hole is my current preferred weapon, I don't always take it. If I see the bone before I see the black hole, I will always pick that as a backup. This is because my main goal early on is just to end the cycle as quickly as possible so that I don't risk having to refresh or skip weapons or tomes when I level up in case I don't get the right ones. Now, some tips for item hunting and banishing. While you explore the map, you will likely come across some statues where it's pretty common to be quite aggressive with your refreshes. You can take a cactus from them if you need it, but often people refresh aggressively in the hopes of finding Kevin or the spiky shield. If you're lucky, you might also come across a microwave on the first map, which will be very helpful for getting more cacti quickly. I have seen a lot of speedrunners banish a lot of the green items as quickly as possible in order to lower the common item pool and in turn get more cacti that way. You can definitely do this if you can't seem to find any cacti, but the current world record holder actually decided to banish his purple items instead. He did this in order to get a higher chance of getting more spiky shield, and this makes a lot of sense to me because each copy of the spiky shield ups your damage output by a lot. So it is a very important key item to have, and the more you can have of them, the better. In the world record run, he also decided to banish the beer. This makes a lot of sense because you don't really want to lower your HP amount. In fact, upping your max HP is kind of a good stat to pick from the shrines if you don't have a better option. On any of the following maps after the first one, you basically don't want to take any shrines at all. If you need some items, like if you don't have your spiky shield yet, you will need to explore the map and see if you can find it. But if you have all the items you need already at this point, that is perfect, and basically at that point you just want to go to the boss as quickly as you can and just rush through the map. But the second and third map is solely just for getting more items if you haven't found everything you already need on the first map. Other than that, you simply just go to the boss as quickly as you can. Now, before entering the final boss, it is required to have at least one Kevin and one spiky shield. The best case scenario, you would have more of these, especially more spiky shield, but it isn't really required if you got enough damage. It will just take you slightly longer to beat the final boss. As for the cactus, you would want at least 6 to 7 copies of these, but the more the merrier here. I do also want to mention a fourth item which is not required, but it can help you a lot in the fight, and that is the Phantom Shroud. This item can be really strong if you have a bit of evasion. Now, this can be one of those items that are a bit hard to understand how exactly works, so I'll just explain it quickly. The official description says that after evading, deal 2x damage your next attack. This is actually not quite true, because after your first evade, you actually only deal 1.5x your damage for the next 3 seconds. But if you evade again before the 3-second timer runs out, then you will deal 2x damage. You can keep stacking this up to 4 times when you have one copy of the item, and at that point you will actually deal 3x your damage. I'll leave some more info here on the screen if you're interested in the nitty-gritty details of how this works, but basically it's a pretty strong item because it applies to both your thorn damage and the cactus damage. And if you have a decent amount of evading chance, it can make up for having an otherwise low damage output. For the final boss battle, it is actually a pretty easy fight to choke, especially if your damage is on the lower end, so you do kind of want to lock in during this segment. In case you don't know, the red orb is quite annoying to get hit by because it adds a debuff that makes it impossible for you to heal for a limited amount of time. So try not to get hit by that, and if you do, you'll have to run away for a little bit until your character is no longer flashing red. But anyway, I believe that's all you need to know to start trying to speedrun. Take a run and let me know how it went in the comments. I'm sure there are some things that can still be improved on in the speedrun meta. I've seen some people run the Thorn Tome instead of the Armor Tome and then just not rely on the spiky shield at all. I'm not sure I'm convinced about this strategy, but honestly, who knows? There might be some very good tech out there that's just not been discovered yet. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.